Good night. Welcome once again, friends. Uh, Let me get my notes. Tonight, my friends, a very serious topic, a very serious theme. And the topic is ecumenism. And ecumenism means promoting unity among all Christian churches. A solemn message to God's watchmen, God's covenant people. Yesterday evening during the snowstorm in New York, those who reside in New York know this, and even those residing elsewhere pay attention to the news. But during that time, I was studying a message, a theme, in order to prepare it and then present it on YouTube. Not this message, a total different message from this one. And as I continued studying the theme of that message, suddenly this one that I am about to present now, that I'm presenting now, just came to thought, and with a sense of urgency than the one before. It was as if God dropped this one in my lap and said, this needs to be presented now. That's how it felt. I marveled. Then immediately I accepted the task. Because based on experience, I know when my Lord is directing me. We all must have this experience for ourselves. And personally, this is something I've been getting acquainted with. I don't want to say I've gotten acquainted as if I've arrived. Instead, I prefer using the word getting acquainted with. Anyhow, he started to reveal some scriptures to me, which are pertaining to his covenant people, Seventh-day Adventists. Those who are in sympathy with Babylon and will be in the end likened or joined to Babylon and receive the mark of the beast, which is Sunday worship. Let me share the scriptures he has shown / revealed to me. And I must admit, not all scriptures I was acquainted with before, at least not that I can recall. He showed me what will be the end results of this ecumenical movement regarding his professed people through his words. He showed me through his words. He wants his people to be and remain separate and apart, a special and peculiar people. That's how he wants us to be, not like the world. Otherwise, he will and is turning them over presently to their own reprobate minds. Don't assume I'm condemning anyone. I'm not condemning anyone, because this message goes from me as well, if that is the path I choose. Okay, first scriptures I'm going to read shortly is Zephaniah 1, verses 4 through 6. These were the first scriptures shown to me, and also the ones I was not familiar with. I'm not too familiar with the book itself. I probably read over it. I probably read it before, but, not in details. As I would, go through the other books of the Bible, studying, comparing scripture with scripture. Anyhow, this is about sun worship, which is the same as Sunday worship, which is the mark of the beast. Paganism, now baptized into the church, sun worship becomes Sunday worship. But this is addressing God's people, not Babylon. Those who will choose to go back into captivity to Babylon at the Sunday law crisis. And I'm going to read now Zephaniah 1, verse 4 through 6. Annihilate this burden. I'm telling you, no joke. I'm not trying to self-exalt myself. But I pray that you all take me seriously. Even today, since evening. And I almost gave up not to give the message. I was thinking of doing it another day. But I said, no, I have to. I must. This is an urgent message. Okay, Zephaniah 1, verse 4 to 6. And I read, I will also stretch out my hand upon Judah, God's people, this is talking about. And who is spiritual Judah today? Seventh-day Adventists. And upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnant of Baal from this place, and the name of Chemarims with the priests. There's a separation. He's separating the wheat from the tares. A shaking. And why? Verse 5 explain. Verse 5. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops. What are the hosts of heaven? The star, the sun, the moon. And we know that the premier God, according to nature worship, heathens and those today who nature worship, or those who worship paganism, no baptized, the sun is the premier God. So now sun worship today is Sunday worship, which is the mark of the beast. So God's people, I'll read on. This is not for Babylon. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord, that swear by Malacham, by Malcham. Verse 6, and them that are turned back, was out of captivity, come out of Babylon, but turned back. It's gone back to Babylon, making their way back, their journeying back, going back towards the east. And how? Through ecumenism. They're stretching their hands across the gulf, and also, like the Protestants, clasping their hands with the Romans. I continue reading. And them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired for him, seek him. I said, okay, very solemn. I go back to my notes. Brothers and sisters. Another scripture, Deuteronomy 17, verse 2 through verse 5. Deuteronomy 17. And again, I don't want anybody believing when I give this type of message, I am condemning anyone. Again, I say I'm not. I am not. I'm just trying to give it a certain sound. And I hope that we see the seriousness. What did I say? Deuteronomy 17. The call doesn't only go to Babylon. The call first go to God's people. I'm not saying that Seventh-day Adventist is Babylon now, because words can be twisted. That's not what I'm saying. Deuteronomy 17, verse 2 to 5, and I read, Verse 2. If there be found among you within any of thy gates, which the Lord thy God giveth thee, man or woman, that hath wrought wickedness in the sight of the Lord thy God, in transgressing his covenant. In transgressing his covenant, that means those who were once in covenant, God's people. Verse 3. And hath gone and served other gods, and worshipped them, either the sun, or moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded. Sun they worship. Verse 4. And it be told thee that thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Israel. Verse 5. Then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto thy gates, even that man or that woman, and shalt stone them with stones till they die. Judgment, they shall be cut off for their own abomination. The leaders, woe be unto us, especially the leaders. I am nobody, but this is a warning primarily for the leaders. Okay, next scripture, Acts 7 verse 42. Acts 7 verse 42. And I read, Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven. He gave them up, allowed them to their own abomination, to their own reprobate minds. Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets, O ye house of Israel, God's people, not Babylon, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Pardon me. Sorry. Okay, let me read another scripture. Ezekiel 8 verse 16. Driving the point home. Ezekiel 8 verse 16. And all these texts, providentally he showed me, which I'm reading back, all of them. So I'm not skipping not one. Verse 16, and I read, And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs towards the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshipped the sun towards the east. So those who came out of Babylon came from the east, came from the old world, Europe, Rome, and came to the glorious land, which is spiritual America, the West. Seventh-day Adventists, because the Protestants had fallen away since 1844, they returned to their mother. Now, God's professed people are joining them. They are turning back, looking back to the east, looking back over to Rome. America is west, right? And where's Rome? Where's the papacy? East. And they're joining in, clasping their hands in ecumenism, which will result in Sunday worship, worshiping the sun. This is God's people, not Babylon. A warning for God's people. Jeremiah 8 verse 2. And I read, And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven, whom they have loved and whom they have served, after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered, nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. And this is the second coming. Because we know that the wicked dead, all and the unrighteous, all those who turn back, when at Christ's appearing, they'll be destroyed. All the wicked dead is going to be destroyed. And nobody will be here to bury them. It's going to be a desolate land. And the righteous will go to heaven for 1,000 years. All those who are Daniel's light will come on. They'll know this. I continue. Jeremiah 19 verse 13. Jeremiah 19 verse 13 rather. I'm in a teaching mood tonight, and as I said, it's not self-exaltation. Please, I know how the enemy operates. 13. And the houses of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Judah, God's people, shall be defiled as the place of Tophet, because of all the houses upon whose roofs they have burned incense, joining Ecumenism, unto all the hosts of heaven, and have poured out drink offerings unto other gods. Make it be a warning to us, brothers and sisters. And Jeremiah represents the experience of the third angel, the history of the third angel, which is our line, our history. What will be our experience in these last days? Also, Ezekiel represents the second angel, which is also our history, our experience, because the messages are combined in our history. The final generation, those who are Daniel's lights will come on, as I said earlier, and Daniel represents the first angel, likewise applicable to us. I believe this is my most solemn message yet, since I've been doing YouTube videos warning to God's people, the house of God. Very, very serious warning for us, God's people. Okay, friends, I pray that someone received the light on this topic for tonight. But if you're still in doubt, take it to the Lord in prayer. Okay, until next time, stay blessed. Brothers and sisters, I truly love you.